monster. He had no right to take my son from me. I have a life sentence now and will forever feel my loss.
He stole that safety and security from them, just as he stole
Good actors,
our nation's innocence and
Good actors.
insulted the manaakitanga of our country.
You are already dead to me.
We can shred this apart and put it all on fucking YouTube.
This world will never be enough.
But you know you'll get your account fucking suspended, removed, deleted.
After the Manchester United captain was involved in an alleged altercation with police on Mykonos. The England defender has pleaded not guilty to all charges and won't be present at the trial in Syros. Anthea Karasava is in Athens and gave us more details about the case.
It's important that it is happening because up until yesterday there were concerns that it would not because of an outbreak of COVID-19 that hit the City Hall and resulted in a partial lockdown of that facility that houses the chambers.
It's wonder we've all gone insane, haven't it? Listening to this COVID-19 for all these months. It's all we've been getting rammed with. 24/7 through the media. COVID-19, social distancing, spikes, second wave.
What will happen, we don't know whether the lawyer will go in and possibly request another extension to have more time.
That Christchurch was 100% bullshit in my view.
When the trial begins, we will for the first time be hearing publicly the line of defence that Mr. Maguire will be putting out through his lawyers to this
153news.net, there's plenty of info on there.
Faces several charges. He and two other Britons who
Bits of videos what we've done at the time.
This brawl that took place late Thursday into early Friday.
Plus PK's over 10 hours footage of his extensive research what took him over 3 months on the archive, the website archive something it's called. I've watched it all.
Headlines at just gone 9:15 here on BBC News. Calls on the government to review its policy on face coverings in England's schools, as Scotland says they will become compulsory in corridors and communal areas from Monday.
Disgusting.
Says it's up to countries to decide.
Disgusting.
Police and demonstrators clashed for a second night in the American state of Wisconsin after officers shot a black man in the back. Donald Trump tells Republican supporters the Democrats are using the pandemic to steal the election, as his party formally confirms him as their candidate. Could the government change its mind then on the wearing of masks in England's schools? As we've been reporting this morning,
they likely will.
Face coverings are going to be used in
They've took the piss so far, haven't they? What's the difference?
And on the front of one newspaper this morning, you can see students at a school in Belfast actually wearing masks in a lesson.
Disgusting, man. What a fucking joke.
Education Secretary between 2016 and 2018. And also Jennifer Dunstan. She's a parent. She's a lone parent. She started an online petition calling for a judicial review to demand that mums and dads be given the right to choose whether or not their kids go back to school. And Corinne Pearson, mum of two, who's founded a campaign group called Boycott Return to Unsafe Schools. I think it's where both
unsafe, not through the fucking virus, unsafe for the fact that they might steal your fucking kids and dictating to your fucking kids.
Good morning, Victoria. It's really nice to meet you. My little boy is 9 years old and he usually attends a special educational needs school here in the city where I live. It's a lovely school and I really don't want him to lose his place there, but I don't feel at all confident with sending him back to school given that the pandemic is still around and that there's no cure, no vaccine or treatment.
Oh, what a dick. No vaccine or treatment. Well, she's all right telling the truth about not sending them back because of the measures.
Like a lot of people,
Well, she's coming out with the fucking vaccine shit.
I have a hidden disability. So I've got a disability called ME, which means that I live with the symptoms that a lot of people who are sadly getting...
She's got another disability from what I've just seen. Lack of fucking thinking. Brain cells.
What this virus is going to do to my body, given how limited my mobility is daily as it is.
She's a fucking idiot waiting for a vaccine.
It's a nightmare. It's keeping me up at night, and I know I'm far from the only one, as over 105 people 105,000 people have now signed this petition on change.org, begging the Prime Minister to think again and withdraw the fines for parents this September.
Right. And if your fear
Just
is that
all disobey. They can't fine you all.
taken into care because there would be no one else, you say, who could look after him.
That's right. If I was COVID positive,
Non-compliance
I wouldn't send my son to my elderly parents, would I?
is the main way to go.
There wouldn't be somebody else that I could send him to.
That's what's caused us all to get as far as we have in Britain so far.
But, you know, it's just
So deep in the shit. People complying to the garbage.
Obviously, every parent's worst nightmare is losing your child. And when you're a parent carer, it's always the forefront of your mind that this child needs me so much. What if something happens to me? Now that's just become heightened during this pandemic, and the government aren't paying.
During this pandemic, the pandemic bullshit, love.
Disabilities, all concerns in general about.
There is no pandemic.
In schools and how we can through the communities.
You said on your petition, which I read this morning, I will only take.
The only pandemic I saw was everyone on the fucking front door starts banging fucking pans.
All the chief medical officers, England,
As I've said in the previous video.
And their deputies at the weekend said children are more likely
Brain dead
to find
fucking
not going
doorstep
back to
clappers.
school than if they catch coronavirus, adding it looks as if there is much less transmission from children to adults than adults to adults. Those are the scientists.
Oh my god.
Part of what you said was based on science.
Scientists what work for fucking corruption.
But the beginning of that statement from
They must be trusted, eh, Victoria?
Started with children are most likely. That's not a scientific fact, that's a supposition, and it's not good enough. Until there is a cure, a treatment, a vaccine.
A cure? When has there ever been a cure for a fucking common cold?
Fit to withdraw the fines in June and July.
Until there's a fucking cure, she says.
But they say that the prevalence of the virus is decreased, and schools have put in so many of these control measures.
Victoria's doing a job here.
Let me bring in Corinne before I then
Pushing the bullshit.
Secretary to get her view. Corinne, hello to you. Tell us what your view is on this, and if you agree with Jennifer that the fines should be withdrawn effectively if parents don't want to send their kids back to school in England.
Your kids should be withdrawn.
I absolutely
Fuck the fucking fine.
Jennifer. We've got a campaign group of over 8,000 parents, carers, teachers.
Don't they take the piss of this government, truly, eh?
Support what Jennifer
They can fucking keep you. Tell you what they should do, open up a fucking website
it's taking away
and flip it back on government and fine the government for having your kids off for 5 months.
Parents who
Let's push for that. Fine the government.
Vulnerable family members, students who are scared.
It's alright for them to have your kids off. Oh, now they want them back. If you don't send them, you get a fucking fine. So they keep threatening public with, don't they, all the way through this fucking COVID. Fine this, fine that.
Debt that they cannot recover from.
I mean, again, I was reading the Department for Education guidance.
Threaten you with a fine.
It reiterates that school attendance is compulsory.
Threatened us with a fine if you're not wearing a mask in fucking shops. Well, they'll take me fucking chances, I will. Bring it fucking on, I'll go through the fucking court system.
Money in order to pay the fines because you don't want to send children to school, Corinne, Jennifer?
I'm not saving up money to do that because I have absolute faith and power in people power, and we are going to turn this.
Official guidance rejects use of face coverings in England schools. I'd want to know if they can reject official guidance.
Is that we know, because of our campaigning, that Sheffield City Council have made the right decision for their constituents to...
Number 10 rules out. Have you noticed it's fucking... Like Boris Johnson's calling all the fucking shots, like, innit? No one else can have brains to let the public decide what they want to fucking do if they believe in the bogeyman.
For children's service and education, and yet
can you fucking believe it how no one's waking up to this shit, truly?
A bold decision to listen to the people that they serve rather than this reckless government.
Exactly, that's what I was just keen to say.
Describe them as callous.
Listen to the people that they're supposed to serve. Well, they don't serve you anymore. They serve themselves. And people haven't even noticed that in all these years now. Governments serve themselves instead of serving the public what they're supposed to be there for.
Have said on on balance,
Public servants. That's what they voted in for.
Outweigh going to school, i.e. it will harm children in the long term if they can.
Saying that, nowadays they're not even fucking voted in, are they? They're just put in. Someone else shows up in fucking Parliament and you've never seen in your life and no fuckers voted them in.
Well, I think that we need to see, what we need to hear is we need to hear a plan B from the government, because at the moment what they've done is sat on their hands for the last 6 months, and essentially their plan A is revert back to status quo, and that isn't good enough. That isn't good enough when we have parents whose gut instinct is telling them that it's not safe for their children. We need a plan B, and that's what our campaign has been working tirelessly on for the last 6 months. Our campaign is working towards a traffic light system, which is in accordance with Independent Sage's approach to reopening schools.
Okay, let me bring in just
A traffic light system? Sounds a bit fucking dangerous to me, a traffic light system. It's a bit like what government have been working on all through lockdown, isn't it? Changing the colours.
It's really difficult for parents all over England, actually. Homeschooling, not knowing when.
On the shop, what even got fucking traffic light system? Forgetting you go in, customers.
On healthcare and a special needs child. I think what the government needs to do is to provide reassurance to parents that going back to school is safe. I think the Chief Medical Officer...
How can any government provide you with reassurance?
I think there will, of course, be...
All the assurance is fucking long gone.
Really carefully, and I think on the ground, I would expect that head...
They're still living in a fucking... on cloud nine, half of these people are.
With parents,
they still don't understand how governments tick.
But it is important that we get our schools open and that children are back in school. They've missed too many months of education. We get one shot at education in our life as a young person, and we've got to make sure that...
Yeah, well, it's not just education. We get one shot to live a fucking good life as well.
As we've heard, they need to...
We can't rerun it. This year, what the government have done to the humanity as a whole has gone. And what a fucking terrible year it's been. And probably next year will be another one. Like what she just said, you only get one shot at life.
In some cases,
the government are fucking... what's looking like it could be 2 years, 3 years.
Because we have the ONS survey that
against everybody's will. And you only get one shot at life. We're only here to enjoy it once.
About sending their children back. Justin Greening, do you feel
the government have destroyed that
on masks for children over 12 in schools in England?
I wouldn't be surprised. I think it makes sense to continue to review the guidance as to whether face masks in schools could help reduce the risk. From my perspective, if it can, then it is something that should be considered. We can see the decisions that just...
Believe me, love, if they wanted your kids wear a face mask, they'd say that you must wear a face mask.
That, to me, sounds sensible.
Because they're following the agenda, which this bloody woman doesn't even know now about.
These sorts of steps can help make sure that parents understand that there's a clear strategy in place that they want to see, and we need set out by the government for preventing COVID from spreading through schools being open, detecting cases,
preventing COVID from spreading in schools. I haven't seen any fucking spread outside of school. Never mind in a fucking school.
Might lock down locally or shut schools locally or shut parts of schools locally. But if you're going to do that, then parents want to know that their children can be properly homeschooled. And we're still waiting to see what the plan is in relation to how children can learn remotely if they're back out of school again. One thing we have to understand is education has to get back up and running.
Half of these people, they're saying one good thing and then saying a load of garbage on the next. Clearly she's not awake.
Ministers now need to get a grip, set out a proper plan, and actually get some confidence back in the education system.
Have they not demonstrated?
Does you think the government haven't got an idea here what they're doing?
Often, we've seen them having to respond to events rather than shaping them, and we saw that over the last 2 weeks with the exams, grades, chaos. It was clear when schools were shut down.
That was disgusting. The fucking exam grades.
That was several months ago. I think what you're seeing now is
giving people grades based on fucking
confidence in decisions,
computer algorithms.
The whole cabinet
since when should that ever happen?
Needs to be behind
Fuck me.
developing that plan for safe reopening of schools. Also a catch-up plan. I think it's easy to lose sight of the fact that we need to help young people catch up those lost months of education.
I think they should keep them all on for another year. The year they lost.
Those pupils where there are are still challenges and concerns, more specific, bespoke, personalised plans to help make sure that no child loses out on their education because of COVID.
Thank you very much.
Because of COVID. The COVID bullshit.
Justin Greening, Jennifer Dunstan and Corinne Pearson, really appreciate your views, your contributions. Wherever you are in the country,
it's an absolute piss take, isn't it, really?
Scotland in making the wearing of
you can keep your kids out of school for as long as they fucking want.
In England,
to keep everyone in total fucking fear.
Does that
fear the virus?
Did that help you psychologically?
Oh, as soon as they decide they want you back in, they want them in.
The WHO
and if you don't, we'll threaten you with a fine.
There is high transmission in an area and where other social distancing measures like staying 2 metres apart can't be put into place. So tell us your view, send me a message on Twitter or Instagram. It's
no point in me sending a fucking message in a review. She won't read mine out on fucking that live TV.